This week in sports is basically labor, leverage, and longevity. WNBA players just authorized a strike when necessary while negotiations stall. The NBA is tightening injury reporting and staring straight into the eyes of a sport betting abyss. And the NFL, well, the Colts just brought Phillip Rivers back at 44. 44.
44. It's not a comeback. That is a reboot.
And meanwhile, LeBron is still out here negotiating with Father Time like it's arbitration.
So today we're asking two questions. One, who has the leverage? And two, when is it time to hang it up? On the court, on the field, and at the dinner table.
Because the holidays are coming, and some of y'all are walking back into the same family patterns like it's a rivalry game you keep losing.
Let's get into it. Welcome back to the show. Today is a whole buffet episode containing the WNBA CBA negotiations, NBA news, old age greatness, and, because we care about your blood pressure, holiday boundaries.
And if you're a player, parent, coach, or agent listening, this episode is about patterns. Money patterns, power patterns, career patterns, family patterns, same movie, different uniforms. Let's start with the WNBA and this headline. WNBA players overwhelmingly authorize their union leadership to call a strike when necessary.
The reported turnout was 93% and the yes vote was 98%. Important, that's not an immediate walkout, that is a leverage tool. It's a seatbelt. You don't crash on purpose, but buckle up because you might. And the current CBA deadline has been extended, most recently to January 9th, 2026. So the clock is loud right now.
Here's the core philosophical fight. Players don't want nice raises. They want a system that scales with the business, much like the NBA model, where player pay is tied to basketball-related income.
Because if the league explodes and your pay doesn't, you didn't sign a partnership. You signed a ceiling.
ESPN also laid out the 2025 baseline numbers that make people's eyebrows launch into orbit. Team salary cap around $1.5 million, minimum salaries around $66,000, supermax salaries around $249,000. Those numbers are exactly why this negotiation feels like it's a crossing the river moment.
Now, on the league side, multiple outlets reported a proposal with a much higher cap and a $1 million max base salary concept in 2026, plus a revenue sharing model.
And Sports Business Journal reporting also described a framework where max salaries could push above $1.3 million in 2026 and rise towards $2 million over the deal's life, with average salaries north of $530K in year one.
That sounds huge. But here's the catch. Players can hear big numbers and still say no if the structure is wrong, because the structure is the future. A one-time jump is great, but a permanent formula is power.
The major sticking points appear to be revenue share, travel, facilities, and benefits, especially family planning.
WNBA President Nneka Ogwumike has been front and center in this moment, and the union's message is basically, we want to play, but we'll do what it takes to get a fair deal. Translation, we love the game, but we love respect too.
And that's the new era. Women's basketball isn't asking politely from the kiddie table anymore. It's negotiating like a grown-up league. But here's the grown-up part of this conversation. A league can be booming in attention and still not be consistently profitable. The reporting around these negotiations keeps circling the same reality. The WNBA has had losses for years and years, and ownership groups are split between invest now and we can't light money on fire forever.
A business can be popular and still be underwater if costs are rising faster than revenue.
And this matters because the players ask. Higher salaries, bigger rosters, better benefits, and especially travel improvements come with real cost.
You can present both truths without disrespecting anybody. Players are saying pay must scale with growth. Don't lock us into a ceiling.
While owners can say we can't promise heavy guaranteed spending if the underlying business hasn't stabilized into real profitability.
And that's the tension. The players want a formula, the league wants control.
Look, revenue share is fair if it's real, but revenue share only works when we define the pie, when we define the slice, when we define who's holding the knife, when we ascertain what counts as basketball revenue, ticketing, media, sponsorships, league pass, international rights, and what about expenses that magically grow whenever players ask for more?
If the league says we're losing money, okay, then show the math in a transparent, audited way. Because the players, they're not asking for charity. They're asking for partnership. And partnerships run on clarity, not vibes.
And you can anchor that request with this. Even as revenues rise, multiple outlets have reported the league was expected to lose tens of millions in 2024. Figures around 40 to 50 million dollars have been widely cited in coverage about the business side.
So the make money first argument is if you want big, durable pay, the deal has to be structured so the league actually stays healthy. Not just pay more, but pay more in a way that doesn't break the machine. Because if you break the machine, everybody loses.
Look, the headline isn't panic. The headline is asset values are rising, expansion fees are rising, and the league is trying to grow up into a sustainable business, while the players are demanding a deal that treats them like true partners in that growth.
That's why this CBA matters. It decides what kind of league this becomes.
All right, next, let's look at the NBA storyline for this week, which is integrity meets betting. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver emphasized the importance of trust while the league deals with the fallout from the gambling scandals involving Terry Rozier.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups. And ESPN previously reported details around arrest and league leave decisions.
Sports betting is a volcano. It brings money, it brings attention. And if you get sloppy, it burns the whole village.
Also, the NBA outlined changes to injury reporting cadence and pushed for changes to certain prop bet offerings. ESPN again reported the memo details. Injury reports have to be resubmitted midday. Public updates are more frequent, and a broader review included a tanking policy as well. NBA.com also lays out the baseline injury report policy framework, and we'll link to all of that down below.
Translation: information is currency, and the league is trying to stop insider info from becoming a side hustle.
Yes. And the investor thread we talked about last week in relation to Utah and college sports continues this week now into the NBA. Sports Business Journal reported that the NBA is expanding how many teams a single investment firm can hold stakes in, raising the limit from 5 to 8.
So, yes, capital is buying seats everywhere.
So let's switch gears and talk about when it's time to hang it up and the myth of longevity.
LeBron is the perfect case study because he's not just still playing, he's redefining what aging looks like in a sport that eats knees for breakfast. ESPN literally framed it as LeBron versus Father Time and noted his shifting role this season.
So LeBron is proof that aging isn't just decline, it's adaptation. You stop doing everything and you do, well, the most important things better.
That's the underrated truth. Longevity isn't stubbornness, it's strategy.
You know, Michael, we've spent a lot of time the last few weeks talking about coaches losing their way. But I think we should pause here for a moment and talk about a man who found his way back to exactly where he started, even though everybody thinks he's crazy for doing it.
Philip Rivers, age 44. 7 days ago, he was a high school coach in Alabama. And last Sunday, he was staring down a first-ranked Seahawks defense in one of the loudest stadiums in the world. And it's been 1,800 days since he last took an NFL snap.
So let's look at the scoreboard of reality for his performance last Sunday. He finished 18 out of 27 for 120 yards and a touchdown. He became only the fifth player in NFL history to throw a touchdown pass at the age of 44 or older, joining names like Brady and Blanda. But it wasn't the vintage Rivers arm. The stats tell a story of a man playing within his limits. 16 of his 18 completions were under 10 yards. He was 0 for 2 on the deep hills, including the Chuck and Pray interception at the end.
But he gave them a lead with 47 seconds left. He did the job. And that brings us to these questions about the identity of an athlete.
So, question number one is, can you still do the job at the level that matches your identity and goals?
For Rivers, his identity is the competitor. His goal wasn't to throw 400 yards, it was to give a 10% playoff chance Colts team a spark. And he did. He completed 66% of his passes. He didn't turn the ball over until the final desperation heave. If your identity is the leader, then you can do that at 44 years old. If your identity is the rocket launcher, you're going to be disappointed.
True. The second question is your body paying a price you'll resent later? Now, Rivers got hit. He got sacked. He's 44 years old. He's a grandfather. Rivers says he feels good, but those of us that are older know that the bill always comes due. Is a December run with an 8-7 team worth the mobility you might need to coach your own kids' kids in 10 years?
And that leads to the deepest question. Are you staying because you love it or because you don't know who you are without it?
Rivers has 10 kids. He has a high school team he loves. He has a lot of money in the bank. He's earning a veteran minimum of $278,000 for this stint, plus a lot of health insurance. He isn't doing this for the money. I think I think he does know who he is without it. And he likes that guy, but I think he loves the fire of the arena. There's a difference between being addicted to the fame and being in love with the competition.
Last one. Do you have a next that excites you enough to step away? Most guys don't. That's why they hang on until they are cut or broken. Rivers already found his next at St. Michael Catholic High School. He stepped away once. He knows the door is there. But maybe, just maybe, he wanted one last look at the lights before the door locks for good.
Rivers faces the 49ers this Monday night. Another test. Last Sunday, he proved he's still Phillip Rivers. But as we've seen with Moore and others this week, knowing who you are is only half the battle. Staying true to it when the lights are the brightest, that's the real work.
See you Monday night, old man.
And for the rest of you, do you have a next that excites you enough to step away when it's time? Because retirement isn't quitting, it's graduating to the next season of your life, preferably with functioning ligaments. All right, let's bring it home. Literally.
Going home for the holidays can turn grown adults into the same version of themselves they were at 16 in about 8 minutes.
Your family knows exactly which buttons are yours. They installed them.
Facts. So here are boundaries that actually work. Simple, not dramatic.
Decide your non-negotiables before you arrive. If you wait until you're triggered, I really dislike that word, but it's applicable here. If you wait until you're triggered, you'll negotiate against yourself. Use short scripts, not speeches, scripts. I'm not discussing that. This topic isn't healthy for me. I'm here to enjoy the holiday. Let's change lanes. I'm going to step outside for a minute.
Create exits that aren't punishments. Take a walk. Offer to run an errand. Volunteer to pick up dessert. Movement resets your nervous system. Don't over-explain. Over-explaining is how people find loopholes in your boundary. Protect your future self. If alcohol plus Uncle Chaos equals disaster, then you already know what to do.
And if you need permission, here it is. You can love people and still limit access to your peace.
That's the episode. WNBA leverage, NBA integrity, aging like a pro, and holiday boundaries like a sane person.
We'll be back next week. Same energy, hopefully fewer scandals, but sports.
Sports never sleeps. It just sweats in different ways.
And don't forget to tune in all this week. Monday, we have my special podcast on college sports, scandal, and the mandate for real leadership. And then on Tuesday, Michael is coming at you with a fast break and a blog on holiday eating, staying in shape without being miserable.
Wednesday, the Chalk Talk Book Club drops on Impact Beyond the Game, and we close out this week with a Financial Friday blog and fast break on write-off versus tax fraud from our resident scary tax lady.
That's me.
This has been episode 17 of the AAA Ball and Play Sunday Night Podcast. I'm Michael.
And I'm Lee.
See you next time.
You're listening to the AAA Ball and Play podcast. Quick note, this is for education and entertainment. Nothing here is legal, tax, or financial advice, and nothing we say creates an athlete-agent relationship. Listening or contacting us does not make us your lawyers or your agents. For advice, talk to a qualified professional in your state.